Welcome back to the Upper Tier, folks, the football podcast we bring you each and every week over there on YouTube. Head over there, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. For audio versions of the show, we have Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. This is your Monday mashup. I'm joined by the panel this week, a fuller panel this week, I might add. Joining me, as always, my partner on the podcast, the Dazzler. How are we, Darren?
I'm all good, brother. I am all good.
Good. And straight on the back of the Chelsea Roar. How are we, Ian?
Good.
Good,
Not
excellent.
off the back of good results, but I'm good.
And our resident referee who has lost the plot with that jersey he's hanging behind him. Mark, how are we, Mark?
Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid. Right, let's get into this. Plenty to talk about this week. Not usual for all four of us to be on here in a terrible mood with the results, but we'll take it as we say. Let's start. I'll run down through the results anyway. Saturday, no early games, so 3 o'clock. Brentford 3, Southampton 0. Burnley 1, Aston Villa 3. Yes, Stevie G. Chelsea 2, Wolves 2. Palace 1, Watford 0. Relegated. Happy days. Brighton 4, Man United 0. That was the 5 p.m. kickoff. And Liverpool 1, Tottenham 1.
Was that in the WSL?
It was Sky 1, yeah.
Don't bring up the WSL. The WSL, you'll get them, you'll trigger them, you'll get them going. The 7:45, Liverpool 1, Tottenham 1, handing the advantage to Man City. Into Sunday, Arsenal 2, Leeds 1. Leeds in serious trouble, and we'll get into talking about that. Leicester 1, Everton 2. Huge win for Everton. Norwich 0, West Ham 4. The Hammers nailing the coffin shut on Norwich's Premier League season nearly. Man City 5, Newcastle 0 was the Super Sunday. So let's get in and talk about these. Ian, we'll start with Chelsea 2, Wolves 2. Seemed to be in control for large portions of that game and then just faded away.
I went downhill when Big Rom came off, didn't it? When have I been able to say that all season? Yeah, just, do you know what? It was actually mad. I was out with the dad and the brothers for the match out in the gaff, and it was actually phenomenal. It was like when I heard the stats about 70 minutes in, it was like Wolves have had 14 shots on goal. I was like, what the fuck is actually, because it didn't seem that way kind of when we were 2-0 up. It was like, all right, we're in control. It's all good here. It was a bit of a madness, to be honest with you, because we were literally in control, and it was just that same thing. The counter-attack, balls over the top, lads chasing back. It's the same front, not the same front three. I'm not saying individual players, but the same mistakes with the front three and the midfield not linking up and actually chasing as a unit. It was comical, to be honest with you. And we are Charity FC, and I said it to you on the Chelsea Roar there a while back, Niall. It's Charity FC, but the thing is, we didn't really need to give Wolves any charity this week because they've been on the beach for the last 2 months. It was just comedy of errors, to be honest with you, and no excuses. We can all look. I've heard Chelsea fans say, the Werner goal should have stood, which I do think it should have stood. I think the VAR decision was absolutely comical, to be honest with you. Big fucking, don't know what the Wolves centre back was that went over like a little fucking sack of shit. But the little team I was pushing you over there, you probably need to find a new job as a defender. But look, we can blame the ref, we can blame VAR, we can blame anything. We can only blame ourselves because we put ourselves in these positions. Game should have been out of sight with the amount of chances that we created. And I think if I'm being honest, overall a 2-2 draw was probably a fair result, because we didn't put them away, and Wolves didn't come to play. If I'm gonna put my best Dusty Rhodes impression on, we just didn't finish the game. It's been a story of our season, really. So
big game coming up during the week against Leeds as well, which will be pivotal in the top 4 race and also in Leeds in terms of relegation. Let's move on to Brighton.
We're Charity FC. Don't worry, we'll do Leeds a solid and keep the old relegation battle going. Don't worry about that.
Jesse Marr should be happy to hear that. Brighton 4, Man United 0. Mark, I don't know how much of this game you caught, Darren. I know you caught it because we were talking about it. This United team seems to be hell bent on breaking records, doesn't it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, for the wrong reasons. I think I'll be watching the youth final now. Went to my cheering on the young lads because there's nothing for us to cheer with the senior team this year, is there? Same old story though. Tellez should have cleared it better. Obviously, they got a lot of joy over our left hand side, which obviously, if you go back to the Arsenal game, Saka first 10 minutes, how amount of space he got in, they were too narrow at the back. Then the Chelsea game, Reece James was the same. How many chances did he get over our left hand side or right hand side?
Yeah.
And it was the same again yesterday. And you can only applaud Graham Potter and Brighton for taking advantage of it. And doing the homework, and Gross and Sonny Marsh got a lot of space over there. But they deserve it. They pressed us high up the pitch. They got their chances. Welbeck could have chipped the hay. It could have been even worse. Then he had another great opportunity in the second half as well. Was millimeters.
When you were watching that chip attempt, right? Because I watched the highlights. When you're watching that chip attempt, and because I didn't know who the goal scorers were, I didn't get to see it because I was back late. I was like, please tell me that fucking Welbeck didn't chip the hay. And there was part of me that was actually glad that it went over.
Yeah, no, he done well. There's chance in the second half as well. Like I said, millimeters away from the post, It was a good effort from about 25 yards out or whatever he was. But listen, our best chance was probably the Bruno shot that, didn't even, it was straight down the keeper's throat. Didn't really test him at all. So, but listen, I'm not surprised. It's the same old. Like I said, I can only applaud Brighton and Graham Potter for the performance they put in on Saturday, and it was a well-deserved 3 points for them and a clean sheet as well for them.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the Graham Potter fan base here down below me there, and the Marco Cucurella fan base. I would say, Darren, we love both those boys, don't we? We spoke about them all season.
By the way, what a player, Cucurella. Fuck me.
I'd rather not, but yeah, quality. Absolutely. Other than looking like Sideshow Bob, he plays like one of the Maldini brothers. Like, he's unbelievable. He really is. We tagged him early on in the season. I'd seen him play a little bit last year in Spain, and I was like, this kid could be big in the game over here with Brighton, and he's just gone from strength to strength. It's not often you get players that come in from Spain and stuff like that and hit the ground running the way the kid did. Like, because he hasn't had a period of bedding in. He's literally gone into that left back spot since day one. And he's been super defensively for them. He gets them on the front foot, very good with the ball at his feet. Technically, he's good. He defends well. His delivery is good, as you've seen. He knows how to put the ball in the back of the net as well.
Asler, I was actually going to say to you, I was following him since a game that I watched him against the Chelsea youth back before he kind of made his debut with Barcelona, and he actually started out as a winger, and he used to slot.
He used to play much higher.
Yeah, and then he could slot into the mid. Yeah. So his defensive work is fucking phenomenal for a player that
I think it's ideal for him to play as part of a back five, isn't it? It gives him a little 100%. More freedom and stuff like that. I think if you put him into a back four, you probably wouldn't get the same version of him as you're getting at Brighton. But listen, he's a phenomenal footballer, the kid. I don't see him lasting at Brighton. If he's another season like he had this season, he won't be there. I mean, if Tuchel's going to persist with a back five, he would be a serious option for Chelsea. All depending on how Chilwell comes back for injury. But again, even maybe as a backup situation, just phenomenal. If Newcastle decide they're going to go and play five at the back again, they've got Trippier on one side. They could put the boy Cucurella on the other side. He's tops.
Unreal.
Yeah,
and it was a great finish by him as well, because with Lindelof coming out, there was nowhere else to go with that top corner,
Well, I mean, he struck it with power, but he still managed to get the ball to move and to bend, even though he struck it with so much power. So it was a tidy finish for a guy that's playing as a left wing back, But listen, Brighton fully deserved their win. They were better absolutely everywhere across the park. I suppose I was happy enough when we went into kick-off and we saw there wasn't any changes from the Brentford game. So obviously we'd played quite well against Brentford. I think the likes of Mata and Matic looked like it caught up with them a little bit. Now, I'm certainly not hanging it on them because it was more than just the two boys, but I just think, we know Brighton are a young, they're a youthful side. They get about, are very, very physically demanding on playing against them, And I just thought maybe something a bit younger to try and match up. Like, I would have preferred to see Fred in there, because we know he puts himself about and he gets the miles under his belt and stuff like that. I think, when you go in with Matic, obviously you're not going to get that. You'll get a certain control element with Matic that you won't get with Fred, but you're not going to get that high energy and that high tempo far enough up the pitch to try and nick the ball and maybe get in and stuff like that, And I have to say, I thought the boy Sanchez did well in goal for Brighton, made a couple of good saves, a great save from the Cavani header and stuff like that in the second half, and he dealt with everything very, very comfortably. So
no Lingard.
My heart bleeds for him.
I agree with you, Daz. I think it was a shock to Mata's system because, against Brentford, he got a lot of time on the ball. They weren't pressing as high, with playing with that high tempo. And when Brighton were, he just looked a bit he wasn't up for it really, was he?
No, he was off the pace. But I mean, listen, like what else do you put in? Do you put in a Rashford who's devoid of any sort of confidence and, who's running down alleys and stuff like that, not able to keep possession of the ball, which means you're almost playing, on the bounce all the time with Brighton coming at you. Like, that's tough as well. So we understand the reasoning behind it, but I just
absolutely,
think,
I thought to myself, Dazza, I don't know if you agree, it would have been an ideal game if we had a James Gardner there to put him on, that type of way. But obviously that can be for next season. Like,
yeah, we're so far down this rabbit hole of what's needed now. We just need these two final games to get out of the way so the wheels can start turning on next season, because I don't think any of us could have envisaged it was going to go the way it went this season,
Yeah, you're finishing up. It's a huge job for Ten Hag coming in, isn't it? Because you're finishing up with your lowest points total in the league, and you're also finishing up 56 goals conceded, your most in 44 years.
You know what? I actually think it's a slight help for Ten Hag, because if you think of how absolutely dreadful we've been. So we've got our arses handed to us by Liverpool twice, Watford, Brighton, Arsenal, everybody's kicked the arsehole out of us. We couldn't possibly be this bad next season. There's no human way with a decent coach, even if we made no signings, we'd be a better side next season, because we'd have somebody tactically going in there and trying to make the team play a different way. And I'm sure he will have a system, we'll have a style of play. He's going to drill lads on what he's looking for from them. Expect to see, two fullbacks that go on the outside, two inverted wingers that come on the inside and stuff like that. We have that in our squad. We haven't played it. We keep playing Sancho on the left, which means he has to go down the outside. Play him on the right, let him get inside onto his left foot. There's little things that are going to make a big difference. We absolutely need an overhaul of the squad. We know that. So I think with the additions that are going to be made, with the changing in the coaching setup and stuff like that, I think next season, with the way things went so poorly at the end of this season, I think United fans, their expectations are as low as they've ever been. Which, if you're a new manager coming in, that's going to help you, because they're not expecting miracles just yet. They know the squad
you're starting from a lower base, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if he goes in, you can't possibly. So if he goes in and does any sort of a job, and all of a sudden, let's say we're playing the likes of Liverpool and City, and we're in a game, they might beat us by the odd goal, but we're in the game. We're creating chances. We're being competitive.
Yeah, you're not
we're not getting pumped. That's what fans expect. And if that happens next season, that'll be a huge step forward, regardless of league position for me.
Yeah. We shall wait and see. It'll be interesting to see how it all pans out in the summer, and obviously interesting reaction comments coming from Ralph as well, where he said he had recommended 3 forwards and all this kind of stuff, and the board had said no. And some people are saying they're not sure whether that was the case or not, or whether it's Ralph trying to save face or what it is. I'm not too sure, but it's a kind of a weird one as well, because he's going to step into this consultancy role and he's also doing the Austria job as well. But he's throwing the owners under the bus at every opportunity, really, isn't he?
Sounds like it needs to be done, though.
Yeah, and I think I could absolutely see how he was gonna suggest the 3 names he did. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, early on in January, there was talk of the boy Alvarez, and even pre-Christmas and stuff like that.
Yeah,
You
were
were favourites actually to get him at one point.
We were favourites to get him at one point. That's correct.
Yeah.
And then you've obviously got Diaz, who was tearing it up in Portugal. He was linked with Spurs. He was linked with Liverpool. There was a couple of links with AC Milan and stuff like that. But, you know, and then obviously everybody was interested in the boy Vlahovic. Everybody was interested in the boy Vlahovic.
Yeah,
we talked about it. We said, listen, we want him. Arsenal wanted him. The money wasn't there for Arsenal. Like, I can sort of understand from the board's point of view, if we know this guy is only short term, we can't go again and divvy into this money that maybe he signs a player that Ten Hag doesn't want. Do you know? Because you've already had that. You've already got the Donny van de Beek. You've already got the Harry Maguire. You've already got that.
Say, play devil's advocate then, Daz. Like, say he is going to be, right, he's your next director of football, whatever you want to call it, yeah? There should have automatically been a line of communication opened in between him and Ten Hag, because obviously the Ten Hag thing has been known for quite a while. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's been stitched up since January.
No,
and that's
fair.
the problem.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know,
yeah.
Because at that stage, I mean, there was probably still, I'd say, a lot of fans probably thought we were still going to end up with Pochettino.
That was the main talk back in January, wasn't it? It was Poch.
You know,
the boy, actually.
Yeah, and if you go and you buy a Vlahovic and then Poch comes in and he wants a Harry Kane, you've got a massive dilemma.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it probably wasn't the worst idea, although it's affected the squad massively going through the season because we've been short of goals. But I can see why they weren't going to sanction something like that in January when, you know, you're going to have somebody new behind the wheel in June.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's move on to the evening game. Liverpool 1, Tottenham 1. This is one that I was pretty downhearted and disappointed in, to say the least. It's mad. Like we've had such a good season. We've reached the 3 finals. We've been in a title race till the last 3 games. And then this one game comes up and rips the heart out of me. Like, it's madness.
You bottled it against the bottlers.
I wouldn't go that far as saying we bottled it now. I mean, we
But you didn't win, so.
No, but that doesn't mean we bottled it. I mean, we certainly tried and we certainly pushed to try and win and stuff like that, but it just didn't pan out. But I think some of the in-game management wasn't what it should be. I think if we were going to put that amount of crosses in, I wouldn't have been bringing on Keita. I would have been bringing on Origi. Because I think he would have given us a better option in the box for those corners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I just think, look, I think there's a bit of naivety there from Klopp when he faces Conte as well. I think he should know what he's about to face at this stage, and he should have a better game plan, or at least have a game plan that goes in, and if it's repetitive and it's not working, have a B plan where you go in there with something different. I thought we could have done more work up through the middle rather than constantly out on the wings and being predictable. I thought hats off to Spurs. I thought from Conte it was a masterclass. And I think they knew exactly what they were doing. And I thought the defence, which I didn't think was going to be that good, bar Romero, I thought was really, really good. Even the boy Emerson Royale actually impressed me, and he's been quite disappointing in recent times. But I thought he did a real good job at the weekend there. Frustrated us. Look, we were always going to need a big result from City at some stage to fall.
I noticed that with Niall. We were talking earlier about when you go back to early in the season, the Chelsea game when we went down to 10 men at Anfield. There seems to be almost a type where Liverpool just go when they go for those crosses into the box and hope to almost kind of just choke the life out of teams.
And what happens is, out of frustration as well, they start trying stupid things, and what they're doing is they're not crossing balls into the box, whipping them in with real purpose, trying to pick someone out. They're just floating them in there, expecting a knockdown to land at one of us and to bang it into the back of the net. So there's no real purpose to it. And even with the amount of corners and stuff that we get, and I've mentioned it in previous shows as well, I don't think the return off our corners is enough, considering we've 2 boys up there, the likes of Van Dijk and Konate. I think we could be getting a bit more. In recent times, Konate's been scoring 1 or 2, but I think for the amount of corners we produce and the amount of set pieces in the box, and you've seen it even with Van Dijk there as well. I think it was in the previous game, he had 2 real good chances as well, and he didn't put them away. One went far post and the other one came off the top of the bar and stuff like that. So it was just a frustrating night at the office. Obviously, we'd like the title race, so it's still continuing mathematically and stuff like that. But obviously, what really hurt it obviously was Man City then on Sunday going out and absolutely pumping Newcastle. It didn't help as well because not only have they a 3-point gap now, but they've also got a 4-goal cushion in the goal difference, which doesn't help either. But as I said, look, we'll keep on going right till it can't be done. There's no doubt we'll push on and we'll fight on it, but it's really, really tough now. And I think it would kill me if it came down to goal difference. Really, really tough. So
I think it'd be all right on that one, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to. Like, I'll be honest with you, you know, all joking aside, Niall, with Liverpool fans all week talking about mentality monsters. I actually thought, and I said this to you, I actually thought that City might have a bit of maybe a mentality issue after getting, you know, beaten in the Champions League. And I thought, shit, this could be really interesting now for the title race. But to see them come out and absolutely hammer Newcastle was...
Yeah, but see, the thing about it, Ian, as well, if we had went out and bet Tottenham, that might have had a different effect on it. The fact that we drew with Tottenham also boiled them up a little bit.
No, I know, but I get that, and I do. I hear what you're saying there, but you have to hand it to City as well. Like, I mean,
100%, 100%. But what I'm saying is, the fact that we drew with Tottenham as well boiled them up a little bit as well. If we had pumped Tottenham 4-0, then that might have had a different effect on that game.
Even if you had won 2-1, regardless, it was 3 points and it would have kept the pressure on them.
And to be honest as well, like, I wasn't expecting Newcastle to go out and beat City anyway. I was hoping more maybe for a draw or something like that. And maybe that was the case. But
I'll be honest with you, I thought Liverpool, I actually had, I lost a few quid as well, not as much as Dazzler, but I lost a few quid on, I won't say nothing, don't worry. I definitely lost a few quid on
always
on
gamble responsibly.
Yeah, please do. And also Diageo.
Liverpool's new signing, is he?
Don't gamble while on Diageo. No.
Well, I wasn't on it, so and I still made a bleeding tip myself.
Oh no, neither was I. I was actually very fucking well. I thought I was being calculated, but no, like I was the same. I remember saying to the lads, "Going, don't worry about it. You know, Liverpool are going to absolutely spank Tottenham later. You know, because that would do us a favor." I was sure of it, so I was like, "Grand, not a bother." Fucking yeah.
No, it is what it is.
Liverpool let a lot of people down this week.
There'll be a few more twists. Like they still have to go to West Ham. Yous are playing Villa now tomorrow night. That'll be a tricky enough game as well. So it's not over yet.
Gerrard might do a favour.
I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. But
you need 2 favours now. That's the problem, though, isn't it?
Well, we need one and a big swing in the goals, don't we?
Which is 2 for me.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, if we went out and we bet Villa 3-0 tomorrow night and West Ham were to beat City by 2 clear, or Wolves, I think it is first, were to beat City by 2 clear goals, then we're back on top. So it's tight and it's a prayer and it's light a candle and cross everything and touch every bit of wood in your gaff. But let's see.
Should have told me that I just blew the candle out.
I won't be touching any wood behind me now after you say that. I'll be fucking staying away from the wood.
Dazzler, do you reckon that's real wood?
This?
Hang on. There's my candle.
The candle's back on. Happy days.
There you go, look.
Do you reckon that's a real candle?
Darren, your fans won't be happy you lighting a candle for Liverpool.
He's not. It's a fake candle.
It's a fake candle, look.
That'll work for me. I don't care. I'm taking it as a
fake wood.
Anyway, let's get into some of the hot topics. We've already spoke about the title race. Arsenal in pole position for a top 4. I like that. Faceless. Arsenal in pole position for a top 4. I suppose we have to put a bit of respect here on Arteta, don't we, Mark? He's done a great job at Arsenal.
Yeah,
Mark's
absolutely.
The Arsenal man.
Oh, well, considering like when Solskjaer was getting the sack in October, there was talk of Arteta from some angles of the Arsenal fans, but like he's gotten them playing really good football. Odegaard has
I heard Solskjaer was getting the Arsenal job when Arteta got the sack. That's how bad it was.
And Arteta was going to get the United job, was he?
Oh, I wouldn't wish that on him.
Little switcheroo.
But you look at the players they have, like Martinelli, Odegaard, Saka, Smith Rowe. Like there's been times Smith Rowe's been like against Leeds, been starting on the bench. Yeah, you know he hasn't even getting a look in. But I will say again on Saturday against Leeds, if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be expecting a lot more. 2-0 up after 10 minutes, and then obviously after half an hour, Leeds go 10 men down. And by the way, Rafinha I thought was lucky to stay on the pitch as well, with his antics with the referee. But yeah, no, he's done an excellent job and he's gotten them playing good football. So
see,
respect for him.
I see that the other way. I would have said if the ref wasn't so shit, fucking Rafinha wouldn't have had to get in the bleeding face.
Yeah, but that's you can't react like that.
There
though.
you go.
You can't react like that. You know, he was
like
just.
There has to be a level of professionalism from
know,
the referees,
listen,
and they're so far off it. It's actually scary.
Do you know what? Dazzler's right there, Mark. In fairness, like we're just told to respect referees. Just respect them because they're authority. But if like there is such a fucking decline, and it's every season that we have this conversation in their respect also towards players and the decisions.
I understand that.
So, like, how do you?
And we're certainly sorry, and just to put across before you go, Marky, we're certainly not advocating for guys to go out and treat referees that way.
No, listen,
you know, it's very important and stuff.
At the start of the match, like I'll get the two captains in and say, lads, any grievances, I only want to hear from you. It shouldn't be from another player. The captain should be up there getting him away, and the captain speaking to the referee, and the referee giving an explanation. Mm-hmm. Now, listen, the minute I seen that tackle, I knew it was a sending off. I didn't know what he was doing. Like, you know what I mean? He left with 2 feet off the ground. The referee's got a good view of it when you see the replay as well. I didn't think there was a need for him to go to the VAR, but I just thought his reaction. It was not acceptable. Like he could have been sent off 2 yellow cards. Like,
I think it's shocking. The ref needed to go and look at VAR for that.
Absolutely.
Like, absolutely shocking. Like, if that was in bleeding Cobra Kai, you know, like, that was what a bad tackle that was.
And what was Ailen thinking? Like,
but that's the ref. But that's the ref shirking his responsibility and giving it to VAR to make the decision.
Giving it to VAR because, you know what? Yeah. The little fella in Stockley Park, he'll tell me, "You're doing a great job, Johnny. Keep up the good work. Go and have a look at the screen. Take out the red and everyone's good." Grow a set of balls, ref. Will you give
here's
the red,
the
make
thing.
Him, send him to the shower.
Here's the thing. I said this before to you, Mark, right? It's fucking, and this irks me to a point where I'm actually fucking fuming most of the times. What, like, if the referees really want to be that fucking, they are the center of attention, a lot of them, especially in the Premier League. Lads on bigger money now than, I suppose, the lower level. And I'm not disrespecting.
It's not by that much, though. It's not by that much, in fairness.
No, but at the same time, if they should. I mean, they are protected so much that if you even say a thing about them, that's it. You're fined by the FA, and that's it. Don't question their authority. You know what I mean? Mm. It's getting to the point now where I believe a referee should have to come out and fucking explain their performance the way a manager.
Absolutely.
Explain it and go, why is that not a red card? Why is this? Why is that not a goal? Why you know what? Go and look at VAR.
I actually think that would help to create a much better relationship between the referees, the players, the clubs, and the fans. Because
absolutely,
like, here's the thing: if the ref comes out after the game, he can't change the decisions. Decisions they've already been put to bed. The game is over. Nothing can change it. If he comes out and he says, you know, listen. They might show him a few clips as they're going through it. Ref, first half, here's a clip of the penalty. What do you think? You didn't give it. Ref looks at it, he goes, got that one wrong. Right? If he says he got it wrong, all of a sudden he's holding his hands up. He's not just sitting in his ivory tower saying, well, you know, letter of the law says, blah, blah, blah. Like, we need people to come out here and be honest and put forward, you know, this is why I did what I did. This is why I didn't give the penalty. This is why I did give the penalty. There might have been something going on in the game where he had said to somebody, you know, from a corner situation, you know, I've told such and such not to put his hands on him twice, 2, 3 times. And all of a sudden, you know, boom, he's done it again. So I've called the penalty, where it's, you know, it's on a tally rather than a one-off situation. He can explain that. He can't explain that if he doesn't come out and say a word.
Agree with you, Dazzle. Like, before VAR came in, like, there was talk of it, and you know, I always say, and I've said it here before, human error you make mistakes, especially the pace that the Premier League is played at. It's obviously different when I go out referee 17th, 18th game or whatever it is, but the pace is such that a player fall over with a brush of a little shoulder or whatever, and you have to make a split decision. And I always go with my gut decision anyway, whether it be right or wrong. Now, listen, I've made mistakes on the pitch, and I hold up my hands up and I say, listen, lads, from the angle that I was at, that's what I interpreted. Do you know what I mean? So, obviously now with VAR, though, it's changed because there is that time limit. There's the replays and stuff like that. But as we've seen, the referees can still get it wrong by using the VAR. And listen, the FA have always protected the referees. If you actually listen to Graham Pole or Jeff Winter coming out now and doing interviews, they can actually speak the truth and
but they also admit that they favoured certain clubs and all before, and they haven't mentioned it. Niall mentioned it.
That's what I'm saying. That's the FA protecting. Do you know what I mean? So,
100%. Because I was looking at the game right during on Saturday, for example, right, and now I said it at the start. No excuses for Chelsea at all. Fucking drawn 2-2, and I think Wolves absolutely deserve the point. However, when you look at why is it taking 5 minutes going over a VAR decision of a ball hitting a knee from Lukaku into a Loftus-Cheek goal? Why is it taking 5 minutes to make that decision? Do you know what I mean? And then going, oh no, we've cleared that decision up. Oh yeah, but hang on, let's look at it from a different angle. No, I'm not just saying that for me. Dazzler likes to mess with me and go, but the conspiracy theory hat.
No.
But you can see where that lends itself to.
Yeah, what you're saying is right, and I think that goes back to what Mark just said there. In a game situation, he goes with his gut instinct. Now, when all of us four watch a football match and we see a VAR decision and they show us the replay, straight away, when they've shown us the first replay, we've made a decision on that. We've gone, he's off, penno, no penno, offside, whatever we've got. Now, how many times would we make that split-second decision? Have we got it right? Are we at 90% probably?
9 out of 10.
Maybe,
9 out of 10, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So there doesn't need to be the level of criticism on the decision that it's taken to get this amount of time, to get to 4 or 5 minutes. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're looking for reasons to take goals away, or you're looking rather than, is this, as the question is being asked, a clear and obvious error? If you look at it and you think straight away, no, that's a penalty, then it's a penalty. If you look at it straight away and you think, not a penalty, it's not a penalty. Don't keep looking. Don't keep looking to try and have somebody change your mind from, the 14 different camera angles you've got to see in, a minute and a half. That's not it.
That's where the tinfoil hat then comes in with people. Do you know what I mean?
I know for a fact out there, at every Premier League game, there's obviously a referee assessor from the FA, and they all meet up after the game. So I know for a fact, because it happens over here in the League of Ireland, the assessor will turn around to him and say, right, Michael Oliver, why did it take you 6.5 minutes to reach that decision? And he used to give an explanation. Well, there was a certain player blocking my view, or the angle, or something like that. I'm not saying that's, but he'll have to justify the amount of time it took from the minute the ball stopped, the game stopped, to it being started again. So he has to give that.
But even that's ridiculous, because he's having to tell the assessor.
That's not good enough.
He's having to tell the assessor, well, actually, the system you're giving me means it takes this long for us to come to a decision. Whereas if you make things a little bit easier for us and you pare it back, for me, maybe there's a call for when we go to VAR that they can only see a certain amount of replays. They can only see, 2 different angles, and they can only see them once each. And after that, what have you got?
And not only that, lads,
cut down, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and not only that, we're going to see it now in the World Cup test. It is the communication between the referee and the VAR team as well. So that's going to help a lot as well to understand what that conversation is.
That'll help massively the same way as the TMO does in rugby.
Exactly.
That'll help massively. And one guy is explaining what he can see, and he's going, well, I can see X, Y, and Z. And everyone in the stadium has their headset on. They're going, did you hear that? He just said, your man over on the left there, his knee is off, so and it makes the whole thing much easier.
We need to get back to the benefit of they going to the 4th player, because it's not good enough for a certain team to have one player with his finger fucking nail offside, and that's given as an offside because it's a top team. That goes for Chelsea, that goes for United, that goes for Liverpool, that goes for anyone. But then a Brighton or a Norwich getting a goal ruled away. For the exact same decision.
That's about
We're
nailing down
not
a
a big
lot.
we're not a big team anymore, and we don't get decisions like that, man.
But no, that's about nailing down the law instead of amending it.
Exactly.
All the time. They
That's
have to
all
nail
I'm
it
saying.
down and saying that's what that is instead of amending it, and everyone's confused, and even the officials,
Yeah, 100%.
Fair enough. We'll move on from that anyway. The
by the way,
relegation.
that started with Arsenal, Arteta, and it led to that. So apologies.
But it's every week though. That's the worst part about it, that we're talking about it every week. Absolutely. Every week there's a decision.
In terms of top four, who do you feel is going to get there? Mark, who do you feel is going to get there? Looking at it,
I say Arsenal, Chelsea, the way it is now. Like,
okay, Darren.
I think it's going to be very close because I fully expect Spurs to beat Arsenal in the derby, and that's going to make it. That's going to make it, squeaky bum time on the last day of the season, and Everton are at the Emirates that day, and Everton might still need points, and we've seen what they've done recently, to claw points off some of the bigger sides. So
super frank,
we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely, it's going to be interesting. Relegation. Let's try and tie this down. Mark, what are you thinking on relegation? Leeds in serious trouble?
Yeah, but Burnley have a few tough games as well. They went on a little run there of three wins, and I know obviously they were beaten by Villa at the weekend. That was bound to go and happen at some stage, but I don't know. I think Leeds, my gut is saying Leeds, but Burnley could be dragged in there as well.
Darren?
Yeah, I think Leeds are gonna really find it difficult. They've got Chelsea, Brighton, and Brentford left. Like, conceivably, I could see them maybe getting 3 points out of that. I think Chelsea and Brighton could very well beat them. And if they beat Brentford on the last day of the season, will that be enough to secure safety? I'd imagine probably not.
And now Ayling with the suspension and Stuart Dallas out injured as well, big players.
And Ayling and Dallas are two of their week-to-week performers, two of the guys that are there every week in the trenches for you. Two of the absolute standouts for Leeds, if you're asking me, under Bielsa, and since Jesse Marsh has come to take over, Yeah,
absolutely. Let's move on and switch it up a bit about Chelsea here. Ian, me and you have spoke at length about this Todd Bowley deal with Chelsea, but I'd like to get the thoughts of the boys. Mark, what you thinking on this Chelsea takeover with Todd Bowley?
Yeah, it seems to be in the bag now, doesn't it? But who's he part? The LA Dodgers or something? I was reading there, was it?
Yeah.
But there's seems to be a trend with the American owners, isn't it? That it's a little side venture for them. It's not their main kind of bit of business, as we found out, and obviously FSG as well. But
it's a different kind of deal. This one.
No, we know. That's what's it, 20% or something that he's gonna have.
No, he owns 20% of the Dodgers.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. With this one, is how many's in the syndicate or whatever?
It's 40. It's 40 for him and his consortium, and then Clear Lake Capital are the same. But as we know, they called it the anti-Glacier.
That's like I said, it's just with American owners like myself, Dazzler, Niall at times as well. It's left a bitter taste in their mouth about them, but. Obviously, you seen him at the match there the other day. He was showing some emotion when Cody scored that equaliser. So, it's going to be interesting times for you. You look at it, everything that's happened this season, and you think about at the start of the season, you think you'd end with no Roman, and then a new lad coming in from America. You never would have thought that at all. But listen, if he comes in, if they invest, you just have Champions League football. Like, I can't see why it's not going to work out,
Darren?
Yeah, like I suppose, like Mark, they're Americans. They know absolutely fucking nothing about football, which is the first problem. And they haven't just proved that at United. They've proved that at Liverpool. They've proved that at Arsenal. They've proved that pretty much everywhere they go. They're making absolute bags of something along the way. Through their inferior knowledge of the game and stuff like that. I think there's going to be a lot of decisions made around Chelsea now, which I think the fans will find quite difficult, because obviously under Roman, decisions were always made with a footballing nature. I don't think that's going to happen as much as it has in previous years. I think there's absolutely going to be, you're going to have a guy thinking about this from a business side of things rather than just, from an emotional side where an owner owns a club and he wants that club to be the best and stuff like that. Like we've spoken about it before, like Roman was a fantastic owner for Chelsea. Like the bloke or not like the bloke, he was a fantastic owner for Chelsea, he really was, and he's brought them so much success since he's been there. I just think it's going to be a reality check under these Americans, I have to say. I don't think necessarily, that endless pot of gold is going to be there like it has been over the years. I think obviously the Champions League football is a guarantee, and obviously, location wise, who's not going to want to come to London? But I still think, you've got to do other things to attract big players and be part of the conversation.
Yeah, what I suppose the advantage for the Bowley Group coming in is that they have the advantage that they've seen where FSG has turned wrong at times. They've seen where the Glazers have gone wrong. They've seen where the Cronkies have gone wrong, and I'm sure they can pick up on that and look at that and learn from those experiences. They've obviously, as part of the deal, earmarked a lot of money for investment, both in the squad and infrastructure at all levels in the club and stuff like that. Something in the region of about 1.7 billion, I think, has been earmarked in the capital purchase for that. But I suppose the fact that they're going in there with that clause as well, that 10-year clause, brings a level of stability in there as well. So I think it's going to be exciting times for Chelsea. Obviously, myself and Ian have done a show on it, and I dropped a show on it as well, looking into the background of this Bowley Group and stuff like that, and the brands they're associated with. They're involved with serious brands and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I'll just drop it in there as well, because I understand with the boys that would have been my concerns. Obviously, the boys don't have an invested interest, and probably wouldn't have looked into it as much as I did because it's my club or whatever. And they would have been the concerns that I absolutely had. You know what I mean, with American owners coming in. I think, Niall, what you were about to allude to and what you so elegantly done there on Saturday morning when you put up the history of Bowley and stuff. One of the things about this whole deal is, as I said, the whole dividends thing is just absolutely strong, and it kind of lends itself to what Darren said. Even in his final hour, Roman put in these clauses here that like 9 out of 10 owners wouldn't have touched. You know what I mean? No dividends to be taken out of the club, no debts to be put onto the club. It's literally a clean slate. And I think the fact that the Bowley Group agreed to that and still bought the club for 4.25 billion is absolutely, phenomenal. I think what you're going to be looking at here is there's going to be money spent this summer. Obviously, there's going to be statements made. I think we've seen that. That's pretty much the narrative of all the rags and the media and stuff, and that's kind of been the narrative as well through the Chelsea Supporters Trust, which I've kind of been privy to hear that they have a certain amount of money they're going to spend, and they're going by what Tuchel wants this time. Because obviously they have a director of football in place. I think it's the guy that was at Monaco. Dazzler, you might know his name. As far as I know, he's been in conversation with Tuchel there for the last few months. The English guy that was working with Monaco there for
Mitchell.
a while. Is that?
Paul Mitchell.
Yeah. So they reckon that's the favourite to come in as the DOF. Don't know how true that is, but that's the kind of word on the street that I'm hearing.
I thought he was heavily linked with United.
So I was going to say someone's got it wrong. So because he's favourite for United's director of football job.
Well, there you go. So it could be wrong, or it could be someone else as well. In fairness, I heard I heard Luis Campos as well. In fairness, Dazzler. So I'm not dying on this hill on that one. But what I do know is that they're definitely talking to someone that is willing to work with Tuchel. The only reason I heard your man Paul Mitchell is because he did work with Leipzig for a while?
Yeah, I think he did a bit with Leipzig,
He worked with Rangnick there, didn't he? Did a bit of work with Rangnick there.
Yeah. So maybe that's where that's coming from. Yeah, but anyway, the point is they're trying to bring in a proper infrastructure into the club and also have a dialogue with the fan base, which is something that we didn't have under Abramovich. It was kind of a dictatorship. In a lot of ways, you get what you're given and you accept it. And listen, I have no problem with that because, 9 out of 10 times it worked out. But I think with the whole Marina Granovskaya, like it's a perfect example. As many great things as Granovskaya did, there was also fucking terrible things. Timo Bakayoko, case in point. Danny Drinkwater, case in point. There's so many players out on loan now and stupid signings that we did make that are now on the wage bill of Chelsea that we didn't need to make, you know what I mean? Because there was no proper director of football. And what I'm getting from these guys is that they want to actually have a proper director of football. They want Tuchel to be the main guy, and kind of his say be a big say, So I think we're going to see the days of managers getting fired in the fucking tunnel, like Ancelotti gone, and I think we're going to see a bit of a more long-term project here. So for that reason, so I'm kind of excited, and look, the boys have capital behind them as well. I 100% get the lads saying, look, American owners, it's straight away, it's a bit of a turn off, but I think you don't spend fucking 4.25 billion on a club. I mean, it's the biggest deal in sport history, pretty much in a sports team ever. So it's they seem to have a bit of a plan here. So look, we'll see. Time will tell. I can't guarantee anything.
It'll be interesting anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's change it up a little bit. Mark, the championship, Fulham and Bournemouth.
Yeah, well deserved by Fulham, waving at Norwich as they have been the last few seasons. Listen, it was a great end to the season. Obviously, they won 7-0 against Luton last week, and fair play to Luton. They earned their playoff spot. Nathan Jones done a really good job there this season. He was obviously had a bad patch with Stoke when he left last season. He drew too many games there, but he's gotten them playing some really good football. And Kenilworth Road has become a fortress for them this season. So I was actually delighted to see them get into the playoffs, to be honest with you. And same goes for Forest as well. Steve had them playing really good football this season. They had a good run in the FA Cup, obviously beating Arsenal, coming up against yourselves and stuff like that. Obviously your man Spence has been excellent. Brennan Johnson, Yates, Gardner, Surridge. The players they have is unbelievable. So I'm hoping that either Luton or Forest will follow Fulham and Bournemouth up to the Premier League.
Luton won't be in the playoff one.
This is I was about to get you to predict your playoff final and eventual promoted team.
Huddersfield will beat Luton over 2 legs. Forest will be Sheffield United over 2 legs.
I think Forest
and then you're gonna have Forest and Huddersfield who'll probably go all the way to penalties, and someone will lose the nuts.
Who's your preference, Darren, to go up as the third team? Forest? I
don't mind really. I think
I like Huddersfield as well.
Yeah, I think Forest are a big club with a lot of history, aren't they? I think Forest is a nice idea for them to get back into the big time. But I mean, romantically, you'd love to see Luton do it. I just think Huddersfield have been on an absolute unbelievable roll since January. I've watched them a couple of times. I watched them today. They beat Fulham at home. They were unbelievable.
Have you seen the boy? Have you seen the boy Caldwell play at the back? And
they've got 4 or 5 lads that you could just go, Jesus, the boy Harry Tafolo, the boy Sorba Thomas. They've just got. There's so many good footballers on the side, and they're tactically very, very good. We talked obviously last time Huddersfield were in it was David Wagner. And tactically he was this genius, and he was kind of bringing them to do this. The lad that's in charge at the minute has done an unbelievable job with half the amount of noise that Wagner has. I think it's going to be Huddersfield and Forest in the final, and I literally think you could toss a coin on it.
That's the only thing I'd say about Luton is that I think they do have a chance. Did you see them against Forest a few weeks ago? They won 1-0. They were obviously down to 10 men for about 15 minutes or so, but I thought they played really well. They have that performance in them. Whether they did get that performance out over the 2 legs is obviously another thing.
I think the 2 legs do have makes it difficult.
Yeah, no, but
You know,
yeah.
At home as well, man. That fucking fan base, that is a raucous.
Like the stand is right on the pitch, like you know all about it.
Right in you.
And as well, listen, with Forest, like they're getting 30,000 each week to the home games. Like it's not just these FA Cup games against Arsenal and Liverpool.
I watched the League One semi-final earlier on. Sunderland and Sheffield Wednesday, obviously two former Premier League sides. And the commentator spoke about how Sunderland have sold 20,000 season tickets for next season, and they still don't know what league they're going to play in. And you just thought, oh my God, that's scary. You know, that's really scary. It absolutely is. And obviously they're in the final now against Wickham, and hopefully they'll get back up to the Championship. You know, they've a ridiculous fan base up there in Sunderland. Absolutely ridiculous. They deserve nothing more than Premier League football, if you ask me.
I'd love to see Wickham up there as well, though. I don't know why. I've always had a little. I always like their colours.
Just can't take. I just can't take your man Gareth Ainsworth with the hair dyed off him, and it's like nearly down to his armpits and a leather jacket. You're like, Lovejoy, you need to take a seat and get out of here, pal, will you?
Yeah, and I suppose that if we think back, that Stadium Alive was the first really nice stadium. Remember that was done when they left Roker.
That's right.
Remember it was really, really cool.
That's right.
Remember
that was the same year they called themselves the Black Cats when they changed their.
Yeah, but you remember on the old Sky shows they used to have like the blip that would go around the show from the sky and all, and it was like an alien mothership that had landed in the middle of nowhere.
Ico Pro.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mark, you didn't nail it down. From a romantic point of view, I suppose. What's the head saying? The head is saying who goes up, and the romance is saying who you want to go up.
My head is saying Forest. Like obviously, I'd love to see Luton and Forest in the final, but obviously it's a toss of a coin if that happens. But I'd like to see Forest come back up.
Yeah, cool. Right, where am I now? Champions League final. Liverpool versus Real Madrid. Mark, I don't have to ask you where your colours are nailed to.
Or mine.
Probably more interest in the Bleeding Championship playoffs.
Yeah,
you're right.
This is the life of a Man United fan now. I'm not surprised.
By the way, for any listeners out there that was wondering who I wanted up because I wasn't asked, I'd love to see Forest up. Just saying.
That's not a problem. I wasn't intentionally leaving you out. I just
I'm wearing the colour, but
boys.
You know what I mean? I know I'm wearing the colours.
Salty
but like,
babe.
Don't feel left out. Don't feel left out. You've been included.
Here, listen. It wasn't that exciting. I was going with the Dazzler. I think it's 50-50.
In fairness, saying our knowledge of the Championship, we'd probably put it on the back of a stamp.
Yeah, I know the two players that play for Huddersfield that are on loan from Chelsea.
Absolutely. Mark, Champions League final. I know you don't have a card in the game, except you'd obviously want Liverpool to lose, but how do you see it going?
He's a red card in there somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't be using that analogy.
Definitely. Well, listen, like if it depends again what Madrid show up. You know, we've seen like so many sides of them this season.
The one without Ramos, thank God.
Yeah. But like in fairness, like they got through PSG, City, Chelsea as well. Yeah, I don't want to mention that, sorry. But,
it's all good.
and then on the Liverpool side, obviously you was looking for revenge for a few years ago as well, But as a neutral, you just hope for an open game of football that Madrid are going to win in the end.
No.
Who had the harder run in to the final? Just a question.
Has to be Madrid, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't even think that's a question, is it?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, in terms of how they've had to come back in games and who they had to face, I think they definitely had the harder running.
If right, I'm just gonna say my piece.
Sorry, why'd you ask that? Well, that's all, you're obviously leading into something here. You haven't just thrown that out there.
Well, no, I'll tell you why. It does fit, my narrative here. The reason I asked that question is because if it is a case that Real Madrid do win it, right? Not saying they're going to, but when they win it, I mean, if they win it, should I say, that will go down as one of the biggest Champions League run-ins of all time, won't it? Like in terms of, do you know what I mean? Just it'll be shown for the ages. The comebacks alone, do you know what I mean? Will be. It's like the two teams that are in it deserve to be in it. There's no doubt. Do you know what I mean? They are.
I don't think it matches up with the group of death we had in '99, and then we had Inter, Juve, and Bayern. Like, if I'm honest.
To be
The
fair,
way we
yeah,
won the
because
final.
Inzaghi had you dead and buried, and then fucking remember that Roy Keane goal? Oh my
I
days!
would preface that, Darren, by
Del
saying
Piero
that
playing
was a very different Champions League back then, wasn't it, to what we get now?
more exciting back then, though. I'm
Big
not going to
time.
lie. Just
Well,
gonna say.
Better standard.
but when
Much better.
you think about back then as well, it was quite predictable in terms of the big teams who were all playing really good football at the time, and you kind of had a feeling, you knew it was going to go through. You wouldn't go back then and kind of expect the Villarreal to come through and stuff like that with the
Give
quality
Rosenborg their due, yeah.
Well,
Rosenborg were in that every
No,
season.
but what I'm saying is back then, when you think about '99,
No, I know. But look, where I was going with that was purely based on, right, Madrid have had a fucking ridiculous like level of team to actually come by. And look, that's the look of the draw, whatever. I think Liverpool have had a little bit of an easier run in. Not the Villarreal game now, I have to say, was very entertaining. Both legs, and Villarreal really gave us a fucking scare. And I just think, I don't know, there's a part of me that just goes, this is Madrid, like whatever. And again, no disrespect, whatever way Liverpool fans feel about the Champions League being their trophy, you've got a team here that you're facing that's doubled the amount that you've won it. So it's their trophy. Like, I don't know. There's just a part of me that's like, shit, this is almost, as Gary Neville says, written in the stars for like a 2-1, like a 1-0 or a 2-0. And all of a sudden Madrid bringing it to extra time and just literally turning the Scousers' face the same colour as their jersey.
Darren,
And,
you're chomping there to come in, Darren.
Go on.
Do
Go on,
they have a fourth comeback potentially in them?
Absolutely. I don't know. You know, sometimes we look at things that have gone on over the years, and it's only afterwards you look back and you see the sort of symmetry, the way things happen and stuff like that. Like, look at what they've done in the previous 3 rounds. Like, you know, the Undertaker's music told 3 times. And all 3 times, Vince grabbed them by the collar and went, "Get back in there, you." So, like, you know, I couldn't say they weren't going to go out and give it a run.
Look at the t-shirt Niall's wearing. He's wearing Tyson Fury.
I can't wait to see it, if I'm honest. As you said, like, I don't have a card in the game, so like it's going to be a great game of football for the neutrals. I'm really looking forward to seeing, you know, the Liverpool front 3 against the Madrid back line, and the Madrid front 3 against the Liverpool back line, and then the battle in the midfield there. You know, obviously you've got Fabinho versus Casemiro, you've got Modric versus Thiago, and then you've got, you know, Henderson versus Toni Kroos, and like that's tasty as well in there, isn't it?
I'm glad you didn't mention the one I'm most worried about.
Benzema.
No, not at all. The one I'm most worried about, especially after looking at Emerson Royale on Saturday evening, is Trent versus Vinicius Junior.
Well,
I'm really worried about that one.
That's going to be like the 2 Brazilian boys. They can switch it over as well.
Yeah.
They can go on one side and fleet back and forth and stuff like that. The 2 Brazilian lads, as much as Benzema's taken the headlines, the 2 lads have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like that, and they've dovetailed. When Vinicius showed up, Rodrigo wasn't there. When Rodrigo showed up, Vinicius was having a bad game, and so on and so forth. They've shared it. If they both rock up on the day of that final, like that's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
it's the 2 best front 3, I think. Actually, this is what really makes this an intriguing tie. Like, it's the 2 best front 3 on their day, isn't it? Because you've got Benzema, who is possibly the best player in the world at the moment. In my opinion, he is definitely. I think he's Ballon d'Or without a shadow of a doubt. Just for me,
if he wins the Champions League, he gets it 100%.
Absolutely. And then you've got Salah, who's had that kind of mad season as well, where you could say, yeah, he could get it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'll be honest with you, it's not often you get the 2 out and out best teams. We got it last year as well, just in the Champions League. I think the 2 best performers in the Champions League were in the final last year. I think this year you've got the 2 best teams on the planet, just in terms of what they do, and both very, very different. And I think it's such an intriguing tie, man. Fuck me, it's such an intriguing tie.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
The best team will win, and I think whoever wins it deserves it, and that's it. You know what I mean? No questions asked, unless there's an VAR decision.
Well, the thing
for
about
Mane.
it is, as we've seen over the last few weeks, the best team doesn't necessarily win, but the best team, the team that goes at it and sticks in there and puts in that shift is coming out at the death. Not necessarily that they're the best team, but in those moments when it's time to show up in those last few minutes and come back into it and stuff like that, certainly yes. But there's a number of times Madrid in the build up to this final, they haven't necessarily been the best team, but they've certainly been the team that did enough and knew what they had to do to get through, even if it was clutch or last minute.
Noel,
They've been
sorry,
dogged. Sorry, Marky.
No, I was
They've
just
been
gonna,
so dogged.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask Noel if he thinks a factor will be that Madrid have already won the league, but yous are still fighting for the league. Do you think that will come a factor in the game itself?
I suppose the difficulty with it being the last game for us is if Chelsea were to beat us in the cup, if we were to come out of the title race and we were going into the Champions League final, and the disappointment of the season of fighting on all four fronts, and you're going in with just the Carabao Cup, I think that could have an effect on it.
That's pressure. See it in.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing about it is, and I suppose you could look at it as well and go, you know, if you've been in a title race till this point and you even ended up with just the 2 domestic cups, you know what I mean? If you don't land the Premier League or you don't land the Champions League from that position that we're in, it's kind of a bit disappointing as well, even though you'd have 2 domestic cups potentially. It would still be seen as, I think, a disappointment mainly in the fan base and stuff like that. Like if you're a club where Liverpool is at the moment, your expectation is to be in a title race to as far as you can go to the death, but also to be close to a Champions League final every year as well. That's what you're trying to do. That's what you're trying to achieve.
It's fine margins though, because let's be honest here. Like, you are in a title race. There's been a very small slip. More than likely, we'll go into the last day of the season where, you know, there's still a card on the table that Liverpool can lift the trophy, and you go into a final with Madrid, and on any given final, we know anything can happen. Like, so for you to go in with possibly 2 domestic trophies in the bag, maybe not win the Premier League, and then, you know, maybe not win the thing. Like, it's very hard for people to say, like, it will be a disappointing season, because you've had cards on the table for absolutely the whole bag of marbles.
Yeah.
You know, that you didn't flop what you are looking for. But that's, you know, you can't write it off either and go, well, you know, it was a bit disappointing, like we didn't get. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think what I'm saying is I think initially there would be an air of disappointment, but then I think in the reality of looking back on things and going, well, look, we took a fantastic Man City side as far as we could and potentially a title race. And you know, we got to a Champions League final. But I suppose the last time we won the Champions League, we lost the league by a point. And we went into that Champions League and we won it. Now, Real Madrid's a very different beast to Tottenham in that kind of respect. But I just think, I think if you don't win a Champions League or you don't win a league, I think if you're at that level, it's kind of disappointing. I think the domestic cups, as much as we love the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup or whatever it is, they're kind of secondary to that, isn't it, on your list, really?
I get what you're saying, but isn't it a byproduct of being in all 4 that maybe you only end up with 2 of the lesser ones?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're only in a title race, maybe you do things slightly differently. If you're only in a Champions League race, maybe you do things there. When you've got everything on the table and it's so difficult to get this far into the season and still have everything on the table, that just, you know, every little mistake is just magnified.
Yeah.
You know, you're living in that goldfish bowl, really.
Yeah, but where I'm really coming from is if you're in that race for 4 titles and you end up with title 3 and title 4 and you don't end up with 1 and 2, there's still going to be a disappointment there.
There is.
You know, like, it's all right looking back and going, look, we were on the cusp of a quadruple with 3 games to go, but we didn't do it. So it didn't happen. I heard a Liverpool fan earlier on today, and you know, and he paid, and this is exactly what he said to me. He said, listen, big man, he says, we've got a dynasty here at Liverpool. This is, you know, one of the best teams we've ever had. He said, and so far we've won league title to show for it. He said, like, that's scary. You know, he said, because we possibly don't win it this season.
He said, City are on the verge. This was in the Haaland conversation. He says, City are on the verge of bringing Haaland in for next season. He says, what's the likelihood we take it off than them? He said, pretty slim. He said, so all of a sudden, we've had the best Liverpool team we've had in 40 years. And all of a sudden, we've still won title out of 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. You know what I mean? Yeah. He said, like, we're playing great football. Everything's positive, he says, but you've still got to take those final steps because
that's what I'm saying. That kind of reiterates my point. You know what I mean? That, like if you end up with 2 domestic cups as opposed to a Champions League and a domestic cup, you know what I mean, or a Premier League and a domestic cup.
Especially when you look at, like, you know, United next year are going to grow. I'm not saying United are going to be in the race, but they're definitely going to strengthen. And with a new look, this is a serious manager United have got in now. You know what I mean? You're going to look at the likes of ourselves then on top of that, going to invest in the squad. You know, you don't know what the next 3-year build for a lot of the teams underneath. You know, Newcastle have money to fucking spend. So it's kind of like, these are the moments that count. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose where Darren's coming from, though, is if you have 100 quid in your pocket tonight and you're backing the winner of the Premier League next season, you're throwing it on City, aren't you?
100%. 100%.
That's where you're looking. You're throwing, especially if Haaland comes in, you're throwing it on City. So as we said in the group chat and stuff like that, it's up to everyone else now to step up and try and make that title race what it should be and stuff like that. But I think if I look back in the season, I think there's great moments in the season and stuff for us. But I think if we don't end up with the Premier League, which it looks like we probably won't, or the Champions League, I think to have won the Carabao Cup and an FA Cup, to me, that would be disappointing.
Well, why don't you finish off on the FA Cup, considering we won't? Because the next matchup will be...
Well, there's no point in finishing up on the FA Cup because we're going to do a preview on Thursday night. And Dazzler is going to be hosting the show. So our viewers,
a suit and all, Dazzler.
Our viewers are going to be looking forward to that intro, Darren. He's telling me today he's been practicing it.
I was working on it all day, boys.
So that should be interesting. Just another.
While he was hitting it over the court, he was like, "Get the fuck!"
He was using the racket as a mic.
He's like, he's gonna come in like James E. Cornett back in the 80s.
Someone's asked him about their serve, and he has the racket up talking about the intro for the Upper Tier podcast, and they're looking at him.
We had a rain delay today.
Oh, nice. Was Cliff Richard there?
So I had a whole rain delay. So, you know, coaching didn't go ahead because of the rain. It was quite bad out there, you know, from 3:30 till 4:30. So I spent a bit of time in the clubhouse working on my intro. So
that's why I was asking, was Cliff Richard there? Because with all good rain delays, you know, in the sunny days that are supposed to be...
We are not going on our summer holidays, Ian, put it that way.
All right, man.
My tennis club does not allow Cliff Richard near any of our kids. Just throwing it out there.
Jim will fix it.
Because he wants to put them on a bus and bring them on a summer holiday and all. That's a bit creepy, Cliff. Keep it to yourself, pal, will you?
Well, anyway,
grown-ass man.
Just to let us know, tomorrow night as well, we're going to be doing a North London Derby preview. And our good friend of the show, Morris Shorthall, will be coming on with Darren to do that. Should be an interesting one. Should be an interesting one. Morris from Cheap Heat Productions podcast. Check him out over there on YouTube and stuff like that. Great guy. A big Arsenal fan, has plenty to say about Spurs, doesn't pull his punches, but seems reasonably happy with the progress that Arsenal are making. And a shout out to you, Ian, as well. He fancies coming third. He fancies coming third in the league. He says, I asked him today, how did he feel about the top 4 race? And he said that he feels like they're going to be third.
Yeah, typical Arsenal fan, full of shite. Yeah.
Well, until next time, lads.
That's extremely deluded, isn't it? Though.
Yeah.
To think you are gonna finish third, like they'll do very, very well to hang on to fourth. And he's like, this is typical Arsenal. I'm looking at the fella above him, and the boys behind nip in and take the spot, and he's going, "Are we in the conference with United again?" Fucking anyway.
Do you know what? They actually have.
I'm gonna host that show tomorrow night because you're gonna have to take the Spurs side, Darren.
I'm absolutely okay with that.
You know what? Maybe I'll just fucking nip in.
No, you're barred from that one. You can't get involved.
Why is that?
No, you're not allowed to get involved in this one.
Oh, is that because London is blue? I forgot.
No, it's because you have to hold your water for Thursday.
No, well, I don't need to hold that in for Arsenal and Spurs. Are you kidding me? London is blue and they know it. So it's grand.
We shall see after the Leeds on the derby anyway, where it all lies.
Well, I know we're going to win now. Morris just jinxed his own team.
Until next time, lads, this has been the Monday Mashup. If you want to contact the show, the upper tier podcast at gmail.com, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, the upper tier. And you'll also find us out there on Twitter at the _upper_tier. Audio versions of the show, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. And we will back this week with match reactions, previews. Beat the bookie, Darren, for the Sunday. We have to do a beat the bookie and a Premier League preview.
Championship for beat the bookie.
Or as the coaches call it, bait the arse off the bookie.
That's it. Till next time, lads. A pleasure.